Hi everybody. I'm Diana Daphner from intimacyretreats.com, and my guest today is Ina Bachman from inabachman.com. Ina is a remarkable woman. She's created an entire coaching practice dedicated to helping couples with their money issues. And we know, everyone knows that's a big issue. It's either sex or money, right? We handle the sex side, she handles the money side. So, Ina, what do you think is the biggest problem couples have about money?
Oh, well, that's a great complex question. What happens around money? Money's a very sneaky topic because I like to think of it as like Pandora's box. So you think you're having a conversation about money, but really you open the box up and there's all these sneaky, unconscious emotional hooks inside that could be, if you really loved me, you would blah, dot, dot, dot. Or money's all about survival. I can't spend money on this thing. I need to make sure I feel safe by having money in the bank. Or I don't want to be controlled by my partner, so I'm certainly not going to let them control my money.
So we each have our own story around it, our own issue.
Absolutely, yes. And what happens is people aren't very aware about their underlying story, and they start having a conversation about, should we give this amount of money, like budgeting, if they're making a budget. So should we put this money in the bank, or should we use it for the kids, or should we use it for going on a fabulous vacation? And because we have these other unconscious hooks, that starts to run the show, and people find that they start actually having arguments from an emotional place instead of a rational place.
So they're not really talking about the money. I mean, they're talking about the money, but they're really reacting because of their own, what you call their personal money narrative. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, that's right. So the personal money narrative includes these unconscious hooks around money, but it also includes a lot of different things as well. One of the things I love to go through with my clients is finding out their early money paradigm. How did you grow up with money? How did your parents deal with money? What were the messages you got around money? One couple that I worked with, they had a lot of arguments about spending and saving. She was the spender and he was the saver. And they really felt like they got to a really big impasse and they didn't know how to get past that because they had stuck in their heels and polarized around it. But when we looked at their early money paradigm, particularly the messages and the stories and the experiences they had around money, they began to unpack a lot of emotional baggage. And for him, he realized that the messages around their family and around money is that they'll never make it, we'll never have any money, don't ever try because you'll only fail. And he grew up with not very much money, which made him feel very anxious about money. And he wasn't really aware of these triggers, but he just knew he needed to have a certain amount of money in the bank. And this conflicted with her experience where she grew up with money was how her father gave her love and pleasure. And so she really felt like gifts around money and spending money was a way of showing love.
And if somebody's not feeling that way or not doing that, they're withholding love. So,
Exactly.
Conflict becomes really tense, I imagine.
Right, right. And it can bring up a lot of hurt and feelings of rejection, and you don't even know why you're fighting. But when we unpack that with each other, they actually had a beautiful conversation that they'd never had before about their childhoods and about how they grew up and how they felt about themselves today as adults.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So the conflict itself can lead to greater intimacy.
Yes, exactly. So money conversations can make you closer instead of pulling you apart. Exactly. But you have to unpack all the different components to it.
So you're calling it a conversation, not an argument.
Yes. Yes.
How do you do that? How do you get a couple to? How can we? I know with your help, imagine this is really why a coach is really helpful.
Right.
On our own, you have any hints for how to have a successful money conversation without it becoming a conflict?
Yes. So in the 6 session, I have like a 6 session program, and it's mainly about understanding your own relationship with money. And I walk the couple through different processes to help them both unpack the past, the beliefs and messages about their identity, about who they are in the world of money, in the world of just an ability to be a functioning adult in the world. And then we also look at the current relationship with money. For a lot of people, money is a representation of their value as a person. And we don't understand it because our society treats us that way. It says, you know, you with the big house and you with the big car, somehow you have more power in our society. In whole, our society puts those people up on pedestals. You with, the tiny little house or barely making it, we push you aside. We don't even pay attention to you. So money becomes this internal measure or temperature or, ruler of our own personal value.
And some of us are more susceptible to that. So that keeping up with the Joneses, whether we have the money for it or not, really isn't about money. It's about how we react or relate to that societal impression.
Exactly. And also how we value ourselves. If our family, again, it goes back to our families. If our families didn't have a lot of money, but they really, I don't know what the word is, made people celebrities in their minds who had all the money, then that was the message that we got. More money meant more value. Some people I know grew up with a lot of money, and they saw that money cause conflicts in their parents' relationship. They saw money as a control factor, and people manipulate people with money. So for them, they may have a negative relationship with money where they don't want it in their life, and they don't consider it part of the structure that they have. And if their partner doesn't align with that same value, there can, again, be a lot of conflicts. So it's really about unpacking who you are, the values you grew up with, and then who you want to be in the world right now and in the future.
Right. So it seems like, each of us has our own relationship with money. It's almost like having a mistress or having an affair separate from the relationship. So it would seem that we need to bring all of that together so that we begin to see each of our relationships, so we begin to understand. I know you emphasize empathy is important, to be able to understand and see why and how your partner is in relationship with money, and then somehow create, you call it an island of agreement. I love that phrase, island of agreement.
Yes, because that's the place where, that's when you're dealing with conflict, definitely. We have to find the places where we both are in agreement. That's one of the best ways to decrease conflict, is to first take a look at, what do we agree with? And then be able to understand your partner from the perspective of a heart-centered place of seeing, how they grew up. When you get the bigger picture, you may have the ability to actually be, like you said, be empathic to where they're coming from. And then there's this whole other component about how our survival brain, there's a part of our brain that's very primal and primitive that gets triggered by these issues around money. And that's what creates what we call an emotional hijack, where the primitive brain takes over and people feel like Jekyll and Hyde. 1 minute they're having an easy conversation about paying the bills, and the next minute World War III is broken out and they don't even know what's happened. But it's because money is so triggering to our survival part of our brain, that's sometimes called the fight or flight response, that we go into fight because somehow we feel an unconscious threat to something in our emotional baggage, and that's where we end up fighting with our partner about money. So empathy, understanding ourselves, but having a deep understanding for your partner, and also finding those places where you both agree and creating a joint future together around how you want things to look together in the future. Those are all powerful components to making a money conversation bring you closer, take you forward, as opposed to make you feel like you're stalled out and there's like a big empty space between you and your partner.
Right. You want to be together in this issue. And what I think is great is you offer couples a free coaching session. Basically, if they contact you, you can speak for half an hour and see whether they need coaching or if you have some free resources that are good for them. So I encourage everyone who's been listening to go to inabachman.com and sign up for her either for a free coaching session or at least sign up on her newsletter, I think it's called, or something. I know you can get free reports and where she goes over all of this. And I found it really, really remarkably right on, and very valuable information. So I want to thank you for being here, and I look forward to seeing you in person, which I might be doing in a few months. So have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Ina Bachman, InaBachman.com.
Thanks, Diana.
Couples and money. Bye-bye.
Bye.